And like I say too, when I was a child, I told Rodney, I was like, well, all the nuns and priests have sworn themselves to my service, basically, and pretty much the nuns have all the nuns have given their bodies over to me, pretty much, or their will and their soul and their bodies over to me, pretty much. And that's kind of true and kind of not true. A lot of people are like, Brian, it's like, shut up. It's true though, but it was also that the girls didn't want to have sex with the supreme leader of the time or whatever, but they also gave their life, their wills, and their souls over to me, basically because they knew me for who I was. So the Vatican was like, but basically priests and basically they were medical people and scientists, pretty much, and record keepers, pretty much. And that's what they did back in the past. And then they gave their body, their will, their mind over to me and swore themselves to the Lord. And I'm the Lord. So, anyway, so yeah. So, and basically to be truth, justice, and basically provide aid to those people who are without, basically. And so, it's where it gets kind of confusing, gets kind of complicated, and a lot of people are like, Brian, blah blah. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't understand. Like I say, I was around for thousands or millions of years. Anyway, and mostly it was medical. Mostly the nuns were basically nurses, pretty much. They would heal and do sick, and they were basically practicing science. But back in the old days, science, like people were trying to stomp out the sciences. People were people didn't want other people to be smart. People didn't they feared or didn't want people to know how to do metallurgy. They didn't want people to do record keeping because there was too many bad things going on. They were trying to get into power and everything else like that, and they didn't want people to keep accurate logs of anything. So anyway, and it gets all complicated where basically my factories were converted over to orphanages and churches, or orphanages and meeting places, but mostly stock places, stock markets and stuff like that, where basically you could buy sheep and goats and all kinds of stuff from some of my farms. Anyway, it gets all complicated, and Rodney and everyone else is like, no, 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 blah blah blah. It's like, yes, yes, yes. What? I'm Lucifer Star, the creator. So, the Lord. Anyway. And eventually people found out about that. It's like, whatever. Anyway, so, besides, I put a roof over their head and made sure that they had food. So, anyway, it's a very powerful thing when you're actually taking care of people and actually making sure that people stay okay. And also giving them drugs. Like I said, and also ways that they can have drugs that don't make them sick. Like a lot of people are getting cysts and all kinds of other stuff, and basically you need clean needles that are basically steamed, and that's why we used a lot of glass and not a lot of plastic and a lot of titanium needles. Needles are high quality needles are very important. Basically, if you're going to be using drugs like that, and though you shouldn't use drugs like that, like I always told people, just smoke it. Don't use needles. Needles are bad. It's very easy to kill yourself with a needle. It's not so easy to kill yourself if you just smoke it. And basically, Germany and me spent a lot of time and effort making safe drugs. It's like, I don't really, I used to put drugs in the field rations, and it was clearly labeled on the thing, caffeine and X amount of whatever, and so people would know that chocolate was basically methamphetamine, or cocaine, and it was, and basically in the freezing cold of winter, when you're about 50 minutes from death, and you need that extra little boost to keep you alive, well, you're going to want that chocolate, and that's what it was for. It was for times of emergency. It'll keep you a little bit, get you through a cold night, basically. And that's what it was used for, keep you awake, because a lot of times in the old days, if you fell asleep, you're dead. You're dead. There's nothing easier no easier way to kill a person than just wait for them to fall asleep. And a lot of people would even comment about my Germans. Why aren't they falling asleep? It's been 22 hours. And my Germans are like, yeah, just waiting. Because the chocolate, it wouldn't get you high, but it'd keep you awake. So, and they just, and a lot of those Nazi and a lot of those other people would be like, all right, let's rush them. They have to be asleep by now. So they would go, and my Germans would be like, and it's like, well, it's a chocolate. It has methamphetamine and cocaine in it. So they could stay awake for 22 hours. Wouldn't get them high, but if you ate a bar every 3 hours or so, you'd be awake. Lots of caffeine. I mean, people even 40 years later, people get those little World War II chocolate bars. It's like, yep, it's got like 600 grains of coffee, and like it has methamphetamine in it or cocaine in it, something that would last a long time. And whoo, it's like, you're not supposed to eat the whole thing, dude. Don't eat the whole thing. Like 40 years later, it's okay. It's safe to eat the whole thing. But back in the old days, it would just about kill you. You'd be sweating if you ate the whole bar. You're supposed to eat the little cube, one cube, or a bite. And the Germans would tell you, one bite every 3 hours. It came with instructions. And so my Germans, when they're at their posts, would be like, the chocolate cut the taste of the cocaine and everything else. And then they would just be like, yep, nice and frosty. Yep, there they go. Well, I was rich, and I wanted my people to stay awake, so that's why it was like that. Yep. Yeah, it wasn't Hitler. It was me, and we did it in Britain and all kinds of other places. You know, it's like, hey, drugs, they're a tool. Keeps my people alive. Kept my people alive. So when they waited 36 hours, it's like, well, they got to be getting sleepy. It's like, nope, they're not. They're fine. Hans, hurry up and eat that. Oh, yeah. Anyway, whatever. You know, it was past history. But yes, Lucifer Star at your service. Anyway, yeah. So you can know who did that. Me. My people needed to be able to stay awake. My people needed to stay alive. Because if they die, I die. And like that. So, regardless. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway. Yep. It wasn't Hitler. It's Lucifer Star. Me. My people. I love my people. They're so wonderful. Anyway, so. We lived. Hey, what do you know? They lived. Anyway, it also gives you a little boost when you're working too. So, anyway, whatever.